30 years ago, no band burned brighter and made more headlines than Oasis. Led by two brothers, Liam and Noel Gallagher, who churned out hit after hit and plenty of drama.
There was an innate tension to the band. I think all great rock and roll bands, obviously you have to have the songs and you have to be able to perform them, but you also need the chaos and the danger. That moment when you think any second from now, this is actually going to fall apart and stop.
If ever a band lived up to the rock and roll lifestyle, it was Oasis.
Oasis star Noel Gallagher has aroused new controversy by saying that taking drugs is as normal as having a cup of tea.
It wasn't just drugs and alcohol, it was the brawling. The Gallagher brothers fought a lot. The biggest band of the 90s finally broke apart in 2009.
Noel Gallagher has said violent and verbal intimidation and a lack of support from management and bandmates forced him to quit Oasis.
Oasis are reuniting. The legendary band are getting back together.
But 16 years later, Oasis are back. Not quite in time for the Glastonbury Music Festival, where music journalist John Robb was hosting on a stage last weekend.
Good afternoon, everybody.
It's amazing how big they are now. They're probably bigger now than when they were going. You know, some of those gigs are 80,000 caps, and they were selling them out 1 hour flat, 20 minutes flat, you know, worldwide. It's actually quite a phenomenon, isn't it? I mean, we are in the Oasis summer now, aren't we?
The Oasis summer starts later this week in the UK, part of a tour that reaches Australia at the end of October. Rob has published a book about the band's rise, fall, and resurrection. Birmingham City University estimates the tour could generate more than $800 million in revenue.
No one's going to turn down that amount of money just to go and play a few songs. But I think every band, and anybody's ever been in a band, there's always that thing about the magic lineup, you know, that moment when it was completely brilliant. And you always must wonder about going back in the room and getting that moment again.
Last year, Rob spoke with Oasis's songwriter, the focus firmly on the band's beginnings.
Once everybody joined in, the bomb went off and I was like, now this is amazing.
1, 2, 3, 4, stop! In 1998, in the midst of peak Oasis, Tim Rogers and his rock band UMI toured with them in Japan.
All right!
We met at the Budokan Theatre in Tokyo. Liam and Noel sat front of the Budokan while we sound checked, and I thought, well, there are two gentlemen who look very familiar, and they were gorgeous. Straight up to the sound check came, and you know, we just got imbibing and talking about friends we had in common.
The memories are good ones, says Rogers, of being on the road with a band that was right for the times.
It's like the world needed it, and they were the perfect ones for it because really good looking and had great chutzpah behind it, and the songs are flipping great. Every Oasis record has 4 or 5 brilliant songs.
Rogers believes ultimately the music Oasis made when they were together will far outshine the events surrounding their breakup.
I see why bands bust up all the time, because it's so intimate, and then confronting with your time and with the way you deal with people. And people act really silly around rock and roll bands. I'm really surprised the band I've been in for 35 years hasn't broken up more times.
The reality is, says music journalist Marty Bolton, very few bands go on forever. Breakups happen, sometimes to the biggest groups in music.
Was it a big fight that led to the end of the Beatles, or was it lots of little things over the years?
The Oasis breakup and reunion, Bolton says, follows a well-trodden path.
Lots of bands have had interesting breakups. Some have broken up, come back together, some have blown up, some have had simmering tensions for years that eventually led to their demise. It's the creative friction, and some of that creative friction is what ultimately leads to great art, great music.
And, says Bolton, by finally reuniting, Oasis will now reap the rewards.
It's a bit like art, I suppose. There's only so much art one of the masters can produce, and then that's it, it's gone. If you don't see these bands when they're out there, when they're playing, there's going to be demand for them. They kept this going for years and years. The will they, won't they, will they, won't they.
For now, they will.
Today is gonna be the day that the
Oasis starts this tour with Gallagher brothers Liam and Noel seemingly at peace. John Robb believes that will hold.
I think they've worked out a way of being brothers. When you're a teenager or early 20s, you're always sort of fighting for your position. And there's an age gap as well. It's 5 years. You know, when you're 22 and your brother's 17, that's quite a weird sort of gap to have to deal with. But when you're like 58 and 53, you're a lot closer in age by then, and you worked each other out. For that amount of money, I would hold anything together, you know. I mean, there's bands I met who hate each other a lot more than Oasis ever did.